Well, we have the early prelims, right? It is a pay-per-view. So yeah, always start off with the early prelims. And today, right, everything starts with the ladies. We've got the flyweight on show, Carly Judice against Nicole Calari. Okay, so if we break it all down, Kalahari is 8-3 over. Right, she's 28, 5'3", 62-inch reach. She is coming off a loss from her last fight, and that was her UFC debut. And she came via the Contender Series, and we last saw her in the Octagon on the 11th of January. She lost a split decision to Anesta Karanik. Now, before her last three fights had ended in submissions, including, right, the fight to get her into the UFC on the Contender. She got an first round armbar, right? The other two, rear naked choke second, and an armbar in the second as well, right? So she does like a submission of late. You know, she's got a few, stoppages with the hands earlier on in her career, but yeah, of late, it seems that the sub fight ending sequence of choice. Now she's going up against Carly Judice. Old crispy Carly is 26, 5'7", 68-inch reach. She is coming off a win, and she is the first, right, of our new Louisiana natives on the card, right? She's from Lafayette. So, yeah, she's going to have the crowd all up in her corner, you would think, right? She's 1-1 in the UFC. And we last saw her in March, where she got a pretty crispy head kick finish over Yanesi Dubin, right? Which was, that was pretty tasty. And she needed it, right? But she was coming off a couple of losses. You know, interestingly enough, right? They have both lost to the same person, right? They both lost to Anesta Karakite, right? So Judice lost to her on the Contender Series, and then she lost her debut against Gabriela Fernandez. But yeah, she's bounced back and she looked good, right? Bounced back and looked good. She's had, that wasn't her first head kick stoppage, right? In her first pro fight, she won via that. And she's, can win by strikes, right? So this is interesting. Don't know what Judice's ground game is like, but she does, she fights with she has good training partners. I've seen. With this one, I think I'm going Judice for the win, right? I think I'm going Judice for the win. We will see what happens. So next up, we have got the middleweights, right? We got Bruno Ferreira against Jackson McVeigh. Okay, dokie. Now, with this one, right, it's the first of our debuts of the night. I think we got a couple of debuts. Right, so Jackson the Moose McVeigh is 26, 6'4", 77-inch reach. He is on an 11-fight win streak. Woo! 11-fight win streak, right? Crazy. 6 of those fights have been pro. You know what I mean? But that's, he's had a good few amateur fights, which is always a good foundation to have. You know? He fought 4 times for LFA. When you look at that record, he's got knockouts, but he's also got some subs. It's funny, in his amateur career, you'd say that triangle was his favourite go-to. In his pro, he's a bit of a Poirier. He's been going for the gilly. You know what I mean? So we last saw him in June, 13th of June, got a first round stoppage in LFA. So, it's short notice, but he should be ready. And he had UFC fights booked, right? He was meant to come in short notice at the end of June, right? So, although, again, not the biggest notice, but he was going to take a shorter notice fight. So ever since then, you'd expect that he's been in the gym, working out, keeping ready. I mean, if he isn't, fall on him. You feel me? But, yes, he is going up against the Hulk, Bruno Ferreira. Right, who is 32, 5'10", 72-inch reach. He's coming off a win in his last fight. He is 4-2 in the UFC. Came via the Contender Series, and that was against Arman Petrosian. Got him with an armbar in the second round, and that was March. Right, so, Ferreira, he's, won a few, lost. He did have a big winning streak to get him into the UFC, obviously, right? But yeah, since then, it's been a bit up and down, up and down, up and down. He does like a finish, mainly with the hands, but he has got the odd sub, right? A rear naked, a triangle, and then in the last one, he got an armbar, right? So, yes, he does have all of that. The Hulk is good. For sure, the Hulk is good, right? I think McVee, he's on that streak. He's... I don't know, man. Like, he's hungry. He's for sure hungry. I think I'm taking McVee. I think I'm taking the newcomer to get it done. I'm not quite sure what the odds are. I think probably Ferreira is the fave, but yeah, I'm going to take McVee to handle that one. We then have the heavyweight. I think this is our sole heavyweight clash of the evening, right? And that fight is Ryan Spann against Lucas Brzeski. This fight, right? We've got the bull, Lucas Brzeski. He's 33, 6'4", 78.5-inch reach. He's 9-6-1 with 1 no contest on a 2-fight losing streak. Right, he's 1-5 in the UFC. 1-5 in the UFC. Boy, right? He lost his first 3, then got the win that probably saved his career against Walter Walker, which is looking like a really good win after seeing what Walter has done, since. So yeah, he's, he saved himself with that, but then he lost his next 2. So you kind of think this might be make or break for Bresky. You know, this might be it. If he loses, it could be, yeah. But on the flip side, Ryan Superman Spann, right? He's 33, 6'5", 79-inch reach. He's 22-11 overall, coming off a loss also. And he is 8-6 in the UFC. Right? And, you know, Spann, he was on a 3-fight losing streak. He beat Owen St. Preux, but then lost his next fight. So either with that, he could be on the block, right? Spann could be on the block. So this is definitely an important fight. I think there was a point where you'd go, yes, Stam's winning this fight, right? Because he got that win over Ian Cutelaba. He beat Dominic Reyes. He did miss weight on that one. But it did look like, oh, I think he's got his focus, right? Because that would be always the thing with Spann. You know, Safe Said, he'd said, you know what I mean? It was all about his confidence and his commitment. And I remember him saying to Rogan after a fight that, yo, he's fully committed now. And it looked that way. It really did. But some of these last losses, like the Anthony Smith loss, right? Well, both of them, you know what I mean? Like, just, they weren't great. You know? They were not great at all. Body language and everything like that. So, I think if this was a little while ago, I might have gone Spann definitely. But this is a real, I don't know, man. I think I might take Bresky. You know? I think I might take Bresky. Like, if Spann is fighting to his full potential and he's actually on, I would take Spann for this. But I think I'm gonna have to take Bresky. You know, just because I don't, it's hard to trust Spann's commitment. You know? And it's like, you can say you want to win, you can say all of this stuff, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say, and that pudding ain't been that tasty of late, right? So yeah, I'm taking Bresky for the win. So next up, we are with the light heavyweights. We got Jimmy Crute against Marcin Petrino. And Marcin, right? He is 37, 6'3", 74-inch reach. He's 17-8, right? Coming off a loss in his last fight. He's 4-6 in the UFC. Went 4-0 and 1, right? Went 4-0 and 1. Lost to Modestus Bukakas last time out. Got caught with an arm triangle in the third round. Right? Now, he goes on weird little runs, right? He pulls off a win, then he loses. He wins, then he loses. You know? Like, he beat Khalil Roundtree Jr. You know? Went to a decision. Very good win, right? When you look at everything. But, you know, he lost his first 3 UFC fights. But yeah, then he went on a 2-fight win streak. Then he lost, then he won. So it's very difficult with Petrino. Now, he's facing Jimmy Crute. All right, Jimmy the Crute Brute. And old Jimmy's 29, 6'2", 74-inch reach. He is 12-4 and 2. And he's on a 3-fight skid. Ooh. Man, he's 4-4 with 2 draws. in the UFC. He did come via the Contender Series, right? He drew last time out. He drew Rodolfo Bellato. That was February this year. Right? He lost to Alonzo Medefield after drawing with Medefield. Lost to Jamal Hill, Anthony Smith. He beat Modestus Bukauskas on Modestus' first run in the promotion. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy is very talented, but it's definitely been an up and down, UFC career. And I think he's definitely fighting for his job, you would think. But it's hard to go with Jimmy. Right? He always reminds me of Jake Matthews. Right? It seems like, he's Jake's older brother. But where we've seen Matthews really improve his game, I don't know if we've seen that with Crew, I think I'm going to have to go with Marcin Petrino. But man, you want to see Jimmy, get back on track. But I don't know if he will. And if he doesn't, I don't know if he's going to get an opportunity again. I don't think 4-0 is keeping him in the UFC. I think a fourth loss and it's done. But yeah, I'm taking Marcin Petrino for the win. And our last fight of the early prelims, we go with the welterweights. We've got Adam Fugitt against Islam Dolatov. God. The Ripper, right? Islam. Man, this dude, he's 26, 6'3", 75-inch reach. He's on 11-fight win streak. Woo! 11-fight win streak after losing his debut fight, right? Then he just went on a tear, which is, it's impressive. He via the Contender Series. That fight was October 2024. First round stoppage with elbows. He's boxed a little, right? In his other fights, he's got subs, he's got a das, he's got a triangle, a gilly. So he knows his way around the different aspects of the game. Now, there is a difference about locking up, a guillotine, an arm triangle, all of these things on the amateur circuit, right? The regionals. Just because it's all about the caliber of competition, how long they've been training for. As you get to those upper echelons, people know what it looks like when you're trying to lock up a triangle, right? When you're trying to lock up a guillotine so they can defend that shit. So it's, can you bring that same energy? Are you a phenom or are you just been beating bums? That is the thing. Now, he's going up against Adam Fugitt, right? Adam is 36, 6'1", 77-inch reach. He's 10-4 overall, coming off a win in his last fight, right? Which gives him a 2-2 UFC record. So last time out, we saw him against Josh Quinlan, got a split decision in June 2024. Lost to Mike Malott, but then he beat Yusko Kineska, right? Lost to Michael Morales in his UFC debut, losing to Morales and Malott. No shame in that, right? No shame in that. I do like to roll the dice with these things, though. So, yeah, I'm going for our other debuter, right? Just because, you know what I mean? I love that energy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we got 2 debuts, and I'm taking both of them, I think, right? So that should be a fun fight. You know what I mean? It's got all the makings of. And that's going to lead us into our prelims proper.